Well, hello and welcome back. We are on the bike and we are moving and grooving and just trying to keep doing all the good things, right? This is where we are today. Welcome everybody. I'm Cheryl. This is my channel and we are here on quite the adventure, trying to get better healthy, making better life choices, doing all the things, right? So I am currently taking Zepbound. It's a GLP-1 medication. I'm sure if you're here, you are probably somewhat familiar with it. So I am on my bike in my office, just trying to make better life decisions. If you are one of my friends who have purchased this bike, if you have not seen the bike I'm talking about, go check out my Look What I Did Built a Bike video. The bike is phenomenal. The monitor, I cannot seem to get to work. That seems to be kind of what I'm getting the vibe from all the other things that I've read on Amazon, YouTube, and all the things. I just use my phone, as do other people. We all have trackers and stuff, and for $135, the bike is phenomenal, and I don't really need the monitor. So I am on my bike, and I figured I would just hang out and talk with you guys for a little bit. So I'm just curious. Lately, I have been thinking a lot about how I got to this situation, and the situation obviously being overweight, which is not something that I talked about very much in my life. I'm going to be 52 in a couple of months. It's not a word I've used very often. Not even, fat. It's always short, chubby, fluffy, poo-sized, all the cute things, because I never really wanted to admit that I was overweight or, God forbid, obese. That is a word I despise, but a word that currently we need, because if we are not, we cannot get the medication covered by insurance. And just kind of trying to figure out, how in God's green earth did I get here? And it's just been something I've been thinking about. And I don't know. I don't want to place blame anywhere or anybody except myself. But I've just been thinking about it a lot, wondering, is it some childhood trauma or, something that was a trigger or... So in my life in particular, and again, I'm not trying to place blame anywhere, food was a big part of the family growing up. My great-grandparents, who I was very close to, were both chefs. So my grandfather was a chef. My grandmother was a pastry chef. And they vacationed in the summers at a resort, and all of their kids had to go and help for the summer. And a real core memory I have of my great-grandfather, who I absolutely adored, I would stay at my grandmother's house on weekends constantly, me and my cousins. And I have 6 female cousins on that side of the family. And we would stay at my grandmother's, me especially, and 1 or 2 of my other cousins. Some of them lived upstairs from my grandmother. We would stay at my grandmother's all the time. And one memory I have specifically of my great-grandparents, they lived about a mile from my grandmother, and they called, and my grandfather said I was with 2. So 4 of my cousins lived upstairs, and 1 of them was probably there for the weekend, because I remember 3 or 4 of us having to walk to my great-grandparents' house, and we had to prepare lunch for them, and we were basically being critiqued, and my grandparents were telling us everything that we did wrong. So there was no food. We didn't go to the store, set a menu, anything like that. We were summoned to the house. So they called my grandmother's and they were like, "Hey, send the girls over. This is what we're doing today." And I'm curious if any of my other cousins, I will ask 2 of them specifically that I'm close to, to watch this video and tell me what they think, and if they remember this the same way I remember this. Because I remember this like it was yesterday. And we were summoned to the house, so we all had to walk the mile over to my great-grandparents' house. And I'm telling you guys this story to distract me from the fact that I'm freaking exercising, and it's 5 minutes in, and I'm huffing and puffing, but I'm still going. So we went over, and we were told, you have to make us lunch. You have to do start to finish. There has to be an appetizer, a main meal, a dessert. There had to be a drink on the table. We had to set the table. We had to serve the food. We had to clean it up. Now, I don't know if they were just feeling lazy and they wanted us to wait on them, but I don't think so. My grandpa was really, really, really a special man. And I say this with such love and admiration because he was the only grandfather that I knew. My mom's dad and my dad's dad had both passed away within, I feel like it was a week of each other, but maybe a month of each other right before or after I was born, but like within a couple of months of my birth, but like so I didn't know them at all. And my great-grandfather on my mom's side was the only one around. So he was the only grandpa I ever had. And he was such a character, and he was so awesome. And he talked about food constantly, and he made us cook. We loved it. We loved it. I loved to cook. My grandmother loved to cook. My mom loved to cook. So it's something that we always all did together. And we cooked. So we made that meal. And I remember opening the refrigerator, and I don't remember which one of us was looking for like something to drink. And if anybody's ever like been admitted to the hospital, you know, the pictures that you get, they're either like mustard yellow or pink in the hospital. They would put the water in. There was one of those in the refrigerator. And I think we assumed it was like some kind of a juice in it, like apple juice or something. And it ended up being like really bad, like apple juice that had gone bad and was like past cider. And we served it, and they were not happy about it. And we definitely got points taken off for that. I don't for the life of me remember what we actually cooked that day. Probably like grilled cheese sandwiches, because I'm the oldest. And I mean, I was maybe 12 or 13, and my cousins were younger than me. So that's my like core memory of my grandparents. But all of the other memories, so my great-grandfather was a chef. My great-grandmother was a pastry chef. Then on the same side of the family, my grandmother's side of the family, her brother was a chef, and he taught at a very prestigious culinary school here in Rhode Island, Johnson & Wales. His son, my mom's cousin, went on to also go to the Culinary Institute of America, and he became a manager at hotels. He worked at the Grand Ole Opry. We went to see him at his restaurant in Tennessee when he was working down in Nashville. He now runs a resort and restaurant in Aruba, so they're still doing that. And then my cousin, who I moved into, who couldn't be here, I love you. She also went to Johnson & Wales, and she managed hotels and restaurants. So we're just all been involved. And I have been watching cooking shows and cooking food with my mom for years and years and years. When my son and my niece were little, they did like a chili cook-off together, and like they placed in this, and I always did like all the baking things, like the Girl Scout, what do you even call it? I'm sorry. 9 minutes, guys. I'm going. I did like the cookie bake-off thing. Like I always won first prize for my cakes. And just the more I think of it, like, did we create this? Like, did I bring this on myself just from like being so centralized around food? And again, I'm not blaming my family for this, but growing up, we had Sunday dinner at my grandmother's, and my grandmother had 4 girls, and they all had kids. So there's like 12 or 13 of us. 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 12 of us. My grandmother lived in a 1-bedroom little apartment in like a multi-family house. And all of us would be at my grandmother's on Sunday. All 4 of her daughters, all the husbands, the 12 grandkids. We would take shifts eating, but it would be full meals and desserts every single time. And my mom has continued that tradition to try to keep family going. And as I've said to you guys before, I'm going to my mom's tonight for dinner. We go to my mom's almost every Sunday, and my mom cooks a full meal and desserts, and it's just continued. And I don't know, as great as I love this, and I want to be able to instill this in my kids and my great grandkids. I think the cycle needs to end as far as the concentration on food, because I kind of feel like that has not helped the situation. But I also don't think it's to blame. I don't know. I do think there's a little genetics involved, because both sides of my family, there's been a struggle all the time. And there's a lot of A1C, there's a lot of type 2 diabetes. So that has really started to concern me. Like right before I started this journey, that was starting to be a concern that I would end up going down that path, because both of my grandmothers, my dad, my aunt on my dad's side, my brother, all are type 2 diabetics. So it's concerning to me, a couple of my cousins. So it's been very, very worrisome, and I didn't want to get to that point. So I don't know if there's more genetics involved than there is other things, or like what the deal is, but wow. Talking to you guys while doing this has been unbelievable. This is the longest that I have made it on this bike yet, which I'm super, super excited about and thankful for you guys. But at the same time, it's a little embarrassing that I'm just coming up on 11 minutes, 50 seconds, so 12 minutes. And this is the first time I've hit double digits. But you know what? If you guys have to listen to me babble, even if I don't post this video, maybe you'll be my therapy. Maybe I won't have to go to counseling and figure out what my freaking food addiction is. Maybe you guys will be the ones to do it for me. So I am going to wrap this up, because I don't want to be hurting too much tomorrow. My knee's starting to ache, and it's been a couple of days since I've been on, because we were doing the pool and everything outside. So I am going to leave you guys here. You all know how much I love and adore each and every one of you. This has been amazing that I have actually been able to bring you into my life a little bit and stay on this bike and be able to be here for 13 minutes. Next time we're going to hit 15, and I'll have to think of another story to tell all you guys. Thank you all so much for being here. I love each and every one of you. Have a wonderful night.